It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I've heard a lot about you.
Oh, how wonderful. I hope some of your students have come to tea before.
I think they have. I think so.
Good. Well, I made iced tea for today's tea time because it is so warm outside. In fact, I was just swimming about 15 minutes ago. I threw my hair up and I put on some makeup and I just feel so refreshed and ready for the evening. Have you had a busy day?
Well, yes, today was the last day of school. Not for my students. My students' last day was about a week and a half ago, but the rest of the school, today was the last day. So we were there, and because we couldn't give them their proper send-off as we usually do, we went and we socially distanced and gave them a parade and a cheer.
Oh,
and it was really nice. So I was at school all day. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I know you've been incredibly busy, and although you're not teaching as often, as long of hours with the children, you're still doing as much work or more, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Preparing the lessons. And then after they're prepared, I have 3 children of my own. So I would get them through their schoolwork. And then at the end.
How old are your children? Do you mind me asking?
They're 11, 9, and 7. So
goodness, you have a full house.
Yeah. So they would do all of their work during the day, and then after their work was finished is when I would do all of mine. And then I would make videos of all the activities that we would be doing in the class, and then I would have my kids demonstrate. So and I would say to my class, this is what you're gonna do, and then my own kids would demonstrate. We'd play the game.
I love that. Isn't it wonderful to have your family help you with whatever you're doing?
Yes. And they would also record me if my husband was working or couldn't.
Isn't that so sweet? And I bet they've learned a lot about filming and what things you do and what things you don't do on film. I know that I've learned a lot about online etiquette and good manners online. For instance, I saw someone who was on a video call and with a whole bunch of people for a math tea party that we had, and they took their phone into the bathroom with them.
Oh no.
I was so appalled, and we said, pause, these are not very good manners. And everyone was so shocked, and she was so embarrassed because she thought she had turned her camera off. So it was really a good learning lesson for all of us. And we decided when there are distractions behind you or people flying, or like you just close the blinds behind you, those are very good online manners to do.
Yeah, so I actually had the blinds open and I closed them. My husband said, "You want to keep the blinds closed?" I was like, yes, you can't have the blinds open during a Zoom call.
I know, I agree. So tell me one of your favorite things about this last year and what was one memory that you just loved getting through?
You mean during the distance learning?
Yes, the in-person classes. When you were with your children, what was one moment of being together that really just stuck in your memory?
We made snow in our classroom.
Oh, how in the world did you make snow?
Every kid, it was just amazing. You just make, what do we do? Baking powder or baking soda, a little bit of dish soap, and water. You stir it all up and you get the consistency of snow. And every kid built a snowman and everybody had fun. We all had little trays. And
did you have snowball fights in the classroom?
Did not have snowball fights, but we all made snowmen. But afterwards, then we took some vinegar and we dumped the vinegar on the snowmen. They melted and foamed, so the kids all loved. That's one of my favorite memories.
Exciting! I love that.
And then one other one
was that for
they're both so close to the end to March when we quit. Not quit, but had to
change gears.
Had to quarantine. We did a unit on the 5 senses. So at the end we had a little tasting party, and we tasted chocolate and lemons and salty crackers.
I love that.
And the best part is the pictures that I have of the kids eating the lemons. So that's another
Oh,
favorite.
the lemon. I know. Isn't that the funniest face? I have a little baby. She's only 18 months old. And when we give her a lemon, her face just sours up. It is so funny to see. So they had the same expression on their face.
Yes, yes. So some of the kids actually liked it and they wanted to eat more of the lemons. But yes, their faces were amazing.
How fun.
Those are the two most
memorable.
Yeah.
Moments together. That is really fun. I love making those wonderful memories like that together. And it's so great when you have a class that enjoys being together and working together on those sort of projects. And at the end, it's just fun and great memories that you will always have tucked into your little heart together.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. Now, may I call you Miss Joanne, or should we call you Miss Pedone? Is it Miss Pedone?
You can call me Miss Joanne.
Miss Joanne, I love that because this is sort of a social meeting here for us. Now, you must tell me, what are you drinking for afternoon tea today? Is it an iced tea or a hot tea or a lemon tea?
I wanted to use my beautiful cup, my tea cup, so I'm drinking hot.
Oh, I love that. Well, and so that was the Tea Party to Go bag that you received, yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Marvelous. So you were nominated by one of your wonderful students, and they were so impressed at how in the face of adversity and when you were challenged with something that you had no idea how to do, you did not sit down and cry, although maybe you did in the recesses of your own private world. But they were so impressed with your YouTube channel and how you joyfully approached every day and set this wonderful example. And I thought, what better way than to honor her with a cup of tea so that we can sit down and tell you face to face how much it meant to your students and your parents of your students that you approach this challenge with such joy and enthusiasm, and that it spread to all of them as well. So thank you very, very, very much.
Well, thank you for saying that. It makes me very happy. I almost cry every time I think about it a little bit.
Oh, I know. It really was a challenge, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a challenge, but making those videos and doing that and still keeping in touch with them, and we had Zoom classes, it really it helped. I mean, it wasn't
I believe, Miss Joanne, that even at a time like this, when we're separated in space, that we still can make good friendships and great memories together. And that's what I sought out to do from Tea with Mrs. V, is we had, if you can believe, over 150 pen pals, letters that we wrote to children and told them stories of what we were doing, and we asked them about things that they were doing, and many of them wrote back to us. And so we have more than a dozen pen pals that we've written over 3 and 4 times back and forth to one another. Wow. And I realized that even when things seem bleak and distant and lonely, you can still make friends, but you have to have an imagination for it. So that's why I love having these virtual tea parties, to learn about you and to tell you how wonderful you are and to hear some of your adventures. So I must know, you were once a little girl as well, and you were probably faced with some challenges as a little girl, and you got through those somehow. So will you share with us something that was really challenging when you were little and how you got through it? It can be a funny story or a scary story or any kind of story, but something that you've never shared with your students before that will be a totally new story for them.
Oh my goodness. That's a tough one. When I was little, Annie was popular. You know, this isn't a challenge that I had, but Annie just became popular at the movie, and she always used to sing. You know, the sun will come out tomorrow, and she's always singing, and that is something that does always help me get through anything. Like, I just think of a song and I start singing it out loud, or I walk around singing, and well, I sing, I mean, all of my videos that I made for the kids, and we sang every day in the classroom the song. So that's one thing. I can't think of any specific time. I mean, especially like this, you know, nothing like this ever happened during my childhood. I can't really think of anything monumental.
Did you move a lot when you were young, or did you have siblings when you were younger that gave you a hard time, or were you really good or bad in a particular subject or a sport?
I was a really I like to call myself a jack of all trades, but a master of none. So I
could say the same about myself.
Like my son always said, he's pretty good at sports. He's pretty athletic, and he always asks me about sports. And I played sports as a child, and he's like, well, were you good? And I was like, well, I was okay. Like, when it was my turn at bat, like, I'd get on base sometimes, and sometimes I wouldn't. And when I was in the field, sometimes I'd catch them, and sometimes I wouldn't. But I certainly wasn't the best.
You were kind of as a child. You never really had many highs or really lows.
I was very, I mean, I say that all the time. Like, I was very lucky. I had a very happy childhood. I had nothing major that I can really think of a time where I was faced with something that I had to.
That is actually quite a gift. And I know as a parent myself, that is so hard to do.
Yeah.
To give your child a steady, even, excellent experience at growing up without too many shocking moments in life where they will have to cry about it later. So yeah, I hope you write your mother or father a card.
I talk to my mom about that all the time. Like, I can't, I mean, seriously, the most disappointing thing, like I told you when I was growing up, Annie had just become popular, and I always wanted to be in it or be Annie, and that never happened. So that was the biggest disappointment that I had as a child when I was 11 years old, and I tried out for Annie, and
But you wanted to be an actress.
But I kept singing "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow."
I love that. I haven't sang that song for a long time, and I love to sing too. So sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I'll say, "Good morning, is everyone awake?" And my son will say, "Don't sing, Mom."
They say that to me all the time.
One day they will sing themselves too, I think.
Yeah.
So I must know, Miss Joanne, how did you know that you wanted to be a teacher? I'm always curious about this because teaching is really a special profession. And it's not only math and reading and writing, but it's this ability to help people connect. And kind of like what we do at tea parties. It's not just about sitting up straight or chewing with a proper fork and knife and holding it properly, but it's also about nice conversation and how you make people feel when you're around them, and how to make people feel welcome and engaged and loved. And so how did you find out that you wanted to be a teacher and teach all of these life skills?
Well, before I was a teacher, when I first graduated from college, I was a social worker. Ooh. And being a social worker, I had to go into classrooms, and I found that by going into some of the kids that were on my caseload, by going into their classrooms, I found, wow, I think I really would rather do this. Because once you go into a classroom as a stranger, like, all the kids come around you, and they're so curious. And so I would go into these classrooms, and the kids would always talk to me, and I think I might rather do this. So I did social work for, I think, 3 years, and I went back, and while I was working, I went back and did my student teaching and got a teaching certificate, and then
amazing. So you knew pretty fast that when you walked into those classrooms, you liked the way that felt.
Mm-hmm. It is. There is definitely a feel in a school, in a classroom, and I kind of feel like when I stopped teaching after I had my first daughter, and every time I would go to a school, like, I always felt like something was missing, when I didn't teach. So yeah, it was pretty quick.
Oh, nice. So you took a break when you had your own children, and you stayed home with them for a little while?
Yes, I did. I have, like I said, there are 11, 9, and 7, and my first was born in September of 2008.
Oh, wow.
So I taught in Fairfax County. Mm-hmm. From 2000 to 2008, and then I went back and started in the kindergarten as a kindergarten assistant.
Oh, don't you love kindergarten?
That was awesome.
Kinders are so sweet.
It was so fun. I was the assistant in that classroom at my kid's school at St. Anne, and then the preschool director teacher whose job I have, she retired, so I took her job.
So you've had more opportunities. That's the old saying that when one door closes, another door opens. So if something like, for instance, we had a Nerf gun break here at our house, and my son was so upset, so terribly upset. But then I thought, this is the perfect time to get that other Nerf gun that I had been thinking about getting, but he didn't have space on his shelf for it. Or like a teacup that breaks, right? Or if someone leaves and someone else gets to come in.
Right.
I love that. Oh. Now, do you like tea most, or do you prefer coffee?
I prefer, as a hot drink, I prefer coffee. As a cold drink, I prefer iced tea.
Ooh, interesting.
I don't like cold coffee at all. Iced coffee. Weird, isn't it?
Now, I think it's the opposite for me. I love iced coffee, but I like hot tea. Opposites attract. So what are you looking forward to most this summer? I know you probably have some really fun plans. You maybe had to change a few things for the COVID break, but what are you really looking forward to this summer?
I'm really looking forward to going to the beach and just kind of relaxing, and maybe when you're on the beach, I think you can kind of forget everything. So we'll forget about what's going on around us and just relax. And
get to relax and play with the sand and run and jump into the water. And
and all of my kids love to swim, so we'll be spending lots of time in the water.
That's great. If you're a good swimmer, then being in the water is extra fun. And it takes a lot of practice to swim well, doesn't it?
It sure does. It takes a lot of practice.
Just like reading and writing and, well, even having good table manners or any good manners, any good art, really, if you're going to play a sport or musical instrument or dance, all of those things take practice, right?
Yes.
I know. I'm always amazed at how people pick something that they will enjoy doing and then they don't mind practicing and putting effort into it. But the things that we don't like so much are so hard to put our efforts into. What do you do when you find that there's something you really don't want to do? You don't like to do it, but you have to do it. What do you do? How do you get through that?
Well, I put a song in my head and I start singing in my head as I'm doing it.
And then that helps you get through it.
And it helps me get through it, especially if I don't know all the words to the song, and I try to remember them. So then, you know, that kind of takes my mind off the task that I'm doing.
Distracts you from doing that task. So what is the one thing at home that you do not enjoy doing at all?
Cleaning.
Cleaning?
Cleaning, yeah.
Cleaning? Oh, so you sing when you clean?
Well, maybe I whistle while I work.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I love that. Well, I just think that you are so delightful, Miss Joanne, and I'm so happy to have tea with you today.
Well, thank you. I think you are delightful as well, and I'm so happy to have had tea with you today.
Thank you. Well, our door is always open to you, and we have good news. We are opening camp. We're opening our doors for camp on Monday.
That's awesome.
So we'll have a smaller group for afternoon tea and crafts and dress up and makeup and movie and lunch, but it's smaller, and we've changed a few things to work around the COVID flu that's going around. But for the most part, it will be the same fun, and I am so, so very excited. So if you're ever nearby and you want to pop by and say hello, then we could meet face to face.
That sounds amazing. I will definitely try to do that.
Thank you very much. Well, we appreciate all of the work and the effort and the time and the energy and the thoughtfulness that you put into every lesson and to every student who you have. It pays off beyond words and further than you will probably ever get to see. These children's lives are always changed and affected so beautifully by people like you. So I love you, and I know they love you, and I hope you have a wonderful summer.
Thank you. You too.
Enjoy yourself. So have a cup of tea periodically.
I will.
You can even do iced tea in your teacup if you want.
I will, for sure. Beautiful.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. Is there anything you want to tell your students before we leave?
I would love to say to all of you that I miss you terribly, and I had the best year with you, even though it didn't end as we hoped. And I love you all very much.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, I must run because it's starting to rain out here on
no.
tea party. I know. It's raining on my parade.
Oh no.
So I hope our paths will cross soon, and I'll think of you fondly and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.